Reagan-era White House staffer and Donald Trump supporter Ben Ferguson, CNN political commentator, and Naomi Coates, Democratic strategist who is a Bernie Sanders supporter. Also here with us, Bernard Whitman, a Hillary Clinton supporter and Democratic strategist. We've got a full panel here. And Jeffrey, you're the lucky one because I'm going to start with you on the heels of what we just heard from Kristen. You heard her talk about how Donald Trump is really giving it back to Mitt Romney pretty hard after what Mitt Romney said about Donald Trump today. But what is the political value of that? Is he going to continue to lash out at every single critic, given that he now has a clear opponent in Hillary Clinton?
Yeah, well, Mitt Romney is a pretty prominent one. And I do think that this goes to reinforcing his image as the anti-establishment candidate. I mean, I honestly have no idea what Mitt Romney is doing here. To be perfectly candid, every time he does something like this, in truth, I think it only helps Donald Trump. And the best thing for him to do would just to be, go dark, as it were, and not say anything. But he keeps doing this, and frankly, I think that helps. You heard the crowd boo him when Donald Trump mentioned his name. I mean, that's if you're from Mitt Romney's point of view, I don't think that's productive.
And Trump says that the Republican Party right now is not strong enough and not smart enough. And this is after he was really going after Mitt Romney. Ben, what is your response to that?
Well, look, I think Mitt Romney and many of these establishment guys are making a very big mistake. They're out of the game. This is the new man who's in charge. He has got the nomination wrapped up. If you don't want to say something about him nice, then shut up and go away. No one has missed Mitt Romney being out of the limelight. And for him to spend more time attacking Donald Trump than Hillary Clinton and to take away from this, I do agree with what Jeffrey just said as well. This is only going to help Donald Trump. Donald Trump has been saying that the establishment is trying to undo me. And now people are watching this. And Mitt Romney was not a great candidate. He was not a candidate that a lot of Republicans were excited about. So this only helps Donald Trump to do this. But ultimately, there has to be a moment where these establishment individuals realize that the goal is to beat Hillary Clinton. Many of them, I do think, believe their goal now is to make sure that they can say, look, we were right. Donald Trump lost. We told you he's a bad candidate. We told you this was a terrible pick. And now look how brilliant we are. I think there's many Republicans that are focused more on Donald Trump losing than beating Hillary Clinton. And that's a sad day.
Just Ben, you said, the goal, the Republicans need to focus on the goal beating Hillary Clinton. I mean, if that is the goal, why doesn't Donald Trump focus on that more rather than going after every single critic?
Well, I think his point is certainly it helps his campaign by letting everyone know, look, not only am I up against Hillary Clinton, but I'm also up against all these other Republicans who are coming after me. And I think his other point that he's trying to make is don't come after me, because if you do, if you think you're going to be able to go to dinners or private events and take shots at me and you're a prominent voice or do sit-down interviews that make you relevant again talking about me, and think that I'm not going to fight back, you guessed wrong. Donald Trump has been consistent, and if you attack him, he will come right back after you. And I think Mitt Romney is a perfect target for Donald Trump, because Mitt Romney is not liked by many conservatives who've been backing Donald Trump and other conservative candidates like Ted Cruz.
Okay, let's listen to what Donald Trump had to say. We now have that sound.
I have to say this. I say it to the leaders of the Republican Party. Folks, you got to get tougher. You got to be tougher. You got to be strong. We've had a lot of losses. We've lost a lot of these presidential elections over the last long period of time. You've got to get strong. You've got to get tough. You've got to be smart, or you're not going to have a lot of victories.
So, Bernard, as we've seen up to this point, Donald Trump has defied a lot of odds, and now he's clearly trying to turn these battleground states from blue to red. Are you concerned at all that he's going to be able to do it and pull the rug out from underneath Hillary Clinton, who's also focused on these battleground states?
No, Pamela, quite frankly, I'm not. And, my entire family is from Pittsburgh. And I will tell you this, Donald Trump is going to have a huge mountain to climb in convincing Pennsylvania voters. And here's why. Pennsylvania voters are common sense. They know right from wrong. They can tell a fraud when they see it. They're tolerant. They're accepting. And they're going to look at Donald Trump as someone who has fraudulently tried to take people's money with Trump University, is clearly a bigot, a racist. This attacking Senator Warren, calling her Pocahontas, is demeaning. It's disgusting. And the fact that Pennsylvania voters basically can see through this. They are common sense individuals. They have basic values that just simply do not align with Donald Trump. And I will give Jeffrey and Ben huge credit. That was the spin of the spin of the spin. How could you possibly say that trying to have to defend yourself from your own friendly fire is helpful to your campaign? It's a disaster.
Because
half Republicans say they have to hold their nose to vote for Donald Trump.
Hold on, I'm going to bring Nomi into this conversation because we want to make sure she has her voice heard. Nomi, as we know, is a Bernie Sanders surrogate. And Nomi, I'm just curious your point of view here. What do you think Bernie Sanders needs to do to shut out Donald Trump? Do you think he should just keep on fighting or get on the trail and start campaigning on behalf of Hillary Clinton? What's your view on all of this?
Well, I don't know about on behalf of Hillary Clinton. I mean, Bernie Sanders still is in the race. We still have D.C. coming up. They're still counting 2.5 million votes in California out of the 3.5 that were cast on Tuesday. So there's still a race that's actually existing here. And I know there's presumptive nominee, all this conversation that the media has put out there, but Bernie Sanders has always been about taking on the establishment, reforming the Democratic Party, reforming the status quo. And I don't think that he's going to bow out anytime soon, because if he didn't bow out a year ago, why would he do it right before the convention where you can make that case? Now, while that is all happening, he has continuously taken on Donald Trump. In fact, he polls best against Donald Trump, which is something that I think makes a really strong case to the Democratic National Committee, which his whole purpose this election cycle is to find the most electable candidate. So as we move forward in the next couple of weeks, it's really important to remember that his campaign was always about reform, and it continues to be about reform. It's about transparency, equal elections, fair elections, and I think that by virtue of him being in the race, he's also keeping an excited base going, new voters, millennial voters, disaffected voters who have left the party. So I don't know why the media keeps saying he needs to get out when he's actually helping the Democratic Party by staying in, by reforming it, and keeping these voters in.
But to be clear, I wasn't saying he should get out. I was just asking what you think he should do, given the state of affairs. But just to that end, what you were just saying, do you think President Obama jumped the gun by endorsing Hillary Clinton shortly after meeting with Bernie Sanders?
I do, and I think social media erupted very quickly. What I don't understand, just basically, I think he could have at least waited until after D.C. primary. There's no reason why he needed to jump the gun and endorse Hillary Clinton. Not only that, let's remember that President Obama is pretty much the head of the DNC. Yes, there's Debbie Wasserman Schultz, but it sent a message without actually making that message clear. The DNC hasn't issued a statement saying that Hillary Clinton is a presumptive nominee because they know the rules. They know that both candidates need to reach 2383 pledged delegates, not with superdelegates. And so that's why they haven't come out. But by him putting his energy and support behind Hillary Clinton, I think that was sending a message to the rest of the Democratic Party that we're all trying to unify, when indeed half of the party, 46% of the pledged delegates, have supported Bernie Sanders, are going to the convention and want to bring up reforms. So I don't really know why he did that, other than maybe fundraising reasons.
But the bottom line is Clinton is very happy about it, especially when you look back at look at his approval ratings, look at 2012. He did well in these white counties among white supporters who presumably support Donald Trump now. On that note, Jeffrey Lord, are you concerned at all that President Obama, with him throwing his support behind Hillary, going on the campaign trail in these battleground states, that he'll pull those white voters back in her corner?
Well, President Obama does have some popularity problems of his own here in Pennsylvania. But in truth, anytime an incumbent president plows into a state to campaign for their candidate, you need to be focused on that. So, yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, just as a rule of thumb, no matter who the incumbent president is, almost. I mean, I must say President Bush wasn't much of a help for Senator McCain. And as I think Bernard and I agree, it was a mistake for Bill Clinton not to be in here campaigning for Al Gore. But still in all, yeah, every time President Obama gets out there, it can be a problem. But then again, it can also be an asset because it can remind people of just why they're unhappy.
All right, Ben, Jeffrey, Nomi, Bernard, thanks for that great discussion. And Ben and Nomi, I think I'll see you again later in the hour. We do appreciate it.